I think emotional intelligence is taken for granted and it's looked at as psychobabble, and we're kind of in the age of the alpha male versus the snowflake thing, but I don't like to look at it like that. I think that it is entirely possible to be a grown ass man and also have emotions that you know how to regulate and handle properly. No more of this BS about, oh, it's just my passion, when you get pissed off and you verbally abuse your staff. This isn't like back in the day and the generation where Gordon Ramsay grew up, where the goal was almost to like try to get the other cooks to cry and get them to break. Because we're not building a cult here, we're building a brigade. For anybody new to the channel, I cover this kind of stuff all the time. I do soft skills, communication, leadership, and anything that you can imagine. And it's geared towards chefs, but really leadership, communication, emotional intelligence, all of these things can be applied to most people in some capacity at some part of their job. The number one thing in order to have emotional intelligence on the cook line is the ability to be self-aware. You have to be aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, and how you're interacting with people, how you're interacting with the servers, with the other cooks. And when I say lead by example, this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You can't be nasty with the servers and with the other cooks and expect to get a good response out of them. All that's going to happen is they're going to do whatever you say while you're there, and the second you're gone, everything's going to fall apart, or they're not going to listen to you because you are trying to rule with fear rather than leading by example and showing like how a chef can handle their crap when everything looks like it's falling apart. There have been so many nights on the cook line where my level head, my ability to keep calm, read through the tickets, and also calm other people down when they're getting overwhelmed. New cooks that never had a really busy rush before end up getting their ass kicked, and they're almost like shaking, they're panicking. And I'm like, look, you have half of this stuff down. All you need is this onions, and you need this and that. You know, and you just walk them through it, and they calm down, and then they get through the night, and then they actually feel good about themselves afterwards. But if you don't have the self-awareness to regulate your own emotions when it gets busy, the line's just going to fall apart. After you developed your own self-awareness, the next step would be to develop self-regulation. And self-regulation is learning how to calm yourself down on the line, whatever that means. Now, there are times where cooks will have to leave for a minute and go step outside. I'm not talking about take a 15-minute break in the middle of a rush. Go in the walk-in and punch a box. You know, go scream in the freezer and come back. Whatever you got to do, just have a pattern interruption of some kind and just get your head back in the game to where you can just look at the tickets and think about what needs done and have that problem solving. Because your brain can only focus on so many things at once, and especially when it comes to emergencies or high pressure situations, a lot of the times your brain is not going to be able to think about the thing that you need to do that's the actual cause of the pressure and the emotional response to being overwhelmed on the cook line. I see all the time cooks asking what they could do to get better because it seems like whenever it gets busy, they seem to fall apart. And I get it. I get it because I've been there. We've all been there. And the problem is a lot of cooks don't know how to convey that information to other new cooks. And they take this attitude of like, well, just suck it up, buttercup. Problems are relative to the person experiencing them. Me getting 5 tickets on a Tuesday isn't a big deal. If you are the kind of person that is slamming things around, or you get in a panic really easily, you develop the self-awareness to identify what causes that panic. What is the source of the panic? Why do you feel overwhelmed? Is it just the fact that there's the tickets up there? Or maybe there's always a reason. It's either the fact that there's a bunch of tickets, or it is the idea that there are things that you don't know how to make yet, that you've never dealt with. You're on a new station and you're getting a bunch of steak orders and you've never seen some of this stuff before. You don't know. You know, that's totally fair. That's really fine. But you have to be aware of what is causing it, because it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Once you're aware of it, you can start self-regulating and you can start tackling the causes of that panic, and you could start self-regulating your own emotional responses. You don't want to be snapping at the servers when they come to ask you a question. You want to build rapport with the servers because y'all are a team. It's not front of house versus back of house. It's one cohesive restaurant, one cohesive unit. There are going to be times where you're going to need to work with the host or the server or whatever to regulate the speed of things. There's going to be times where the servers are going to come back and they're going to be frustrated because of ticket times. And if you have that rapport with them, there's a lot more understanding, a lot more level-headedness, and the kitchen just runs smoother when everybody has like treating people like they're human. Really, like just treat them like they're human. Now, I'm about to say a swear word to boomers, and the boomers are going to get really pissed off at me when I say this, but part of all of this whole emotional intelligence thing is having empathy. You have to have empathy and have understanding of where people are in their culinary journey and the kinds of people that are coming into the restaurant to eat, the new or experienced servers or people without training, and have the empathy to understand and look at things from their perspective and why they might be feeling the way that they are. As bad as dealing with a busy service and getting emotional is, dealing with other employees or other angry customers or servers that are falling apart and trying to deal with them in the middle of the rush can be a big pain in the ass. And understanding why they're mad, why they're slamming things around, what is frustrating them, what do they need, what can you do in order to help alleviate some of this? And sometimes you can't do anything. Sometimes, I'm just going to be honest, sometimes people just can't hang. And they just can't. And they're not cut out to be cooks. There was a controversial video I did a while back when it said, can anybody be a cook? And no, not everybody can be a cook. And I'm not on my high horse like, but some people have really bad anxiety. For some people, the pressure just is too much and they just can't handle it. And it's not their fault. It's just some people are built different. Like, you almost have to be a little crazy to be in the kitchen. And as you know, if you've been following my channel for a while, my number one philosophy is that mental health is more important than anything. It's more important than any job that you're going to have. It's more important than any future prestige you might have. If you feel overwhelmed and you feel that pressure and you feel like you need to get out, I'm not going to say to suck it up. I'm going to say, let's try to find you something better, something that you're going to enjoy more. Maybe that's just putting you on prep instead, or maybe that's helping you find another job, like something that you would be more comfortable in. Maybe you want to do construction or something else. It's not for everybody. The job kind of sucks sometimes. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of ticket times, a lot of fast-paced moving, high pressure situations. You have managers complaining about things. You have guests complaining about food that's perfectly fine. People coming in with fake allergies. People coming in at the last minute. People not showing up for their shift. People coming in drunk on their, whatever. I'm just going off on a tangent here. But my point is that all of this has to do with the regulating of your emotions and being able to center yourself and be your own peace. And if you can do that, that is going to put you light years ahead of somebody that is good at their job but falls apart under pressure. What you will find is that emotions are contagious, good ones and bad ones. And you've noticed this yourself, where one person comes in pissed off, slamming shit, they had a fight with their girlfriend, and they're mad, and it pretty soon the whole aura of the kitchen turns into kind of this tense, and the ability to break the tension, to have a laugh. Something happened and a plate got messed up. It's not the end of the world. Your mistakes happen. Just get it done right, get it done well, and send it out. The only time that it needs to become a real issue is if you got to pull somebody back and talk to them because they're like regularly messing food up. But sometimes shit happens, and being able to just let it go and correct the action, coach the behavior, and move on will go so far to helping keep the kitchen. And the people that mess up will start feeling like you have their best interest in mind rather than feeling like you're just looking for things to try and attack them on and micromanaging and stuff like that. They want to get better, and you can be one of those people that helps bring them up. I got into cooking because I did not like people. I did not want to be a server. I didn't even want to be a busser because I didn't want to be out in the dining room where there were like gross kids and like old people and Karens and everything in between. And I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to be around people. So I decided I wanted to be in the kitchen. I'm oversimplifying it. There were a lot of things that went into it, but that was one of the factors. Socially, just no. So I started on the cook line. And one of the things that was a very hard lesson for me to learn is you cannot run away from social cues. The unfortunate, harsh reality is that you're going to be dealing with social situations your whole life. And part of being on the cook line is part of being a team, and part of being on a team is communication. And if you have these other things under your belt, your self-awareness, your ability to self-regulate, having empathy for the people on your team, and then you add in communication, this is a recipe for success. And no pun intended. Well, maybe a pun intended. You want to be in leadership? Get this emotional intelligence thing down. You got this. You can totally do this. It's 100% something that is within your grasp, and anybody that is telling you otherwise is full of crap. For anybody new to the channel, I cover this kind of stuff all the time. I do soft skills, communication, leadership, and anything that you can imagine. And it's geared towards chefs, but really leadership, communication, emotional intelligence, all of these things can be applied to most people in some capacity at some part of their job. If you are struggling with any type of communication, any type of social skills, or anything like that, let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you want me to cover that maybe I missed in other previous content, or maybe didn't go over well enough. Like if you want more information on emotional intelligence, or if you want me to cover more marketing subjects, menu design, conflict management, giving and receiving feedback, constructive criticism, conflict resolution, any of that kind of stuff. If any of that interests you, let me know down in the comments, and I will do a video on it next week. But otherwise, you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next one.